In Salem, accusations did not begin with evidence. They began with fear. Fear of illness, fear of famine, fear of God's wrath, fear of the unknown. The town lived under constant tension, convinced that the devil was never far away. And in a place where fear ruled daily life, suspicion became a weapon, one that could be turned against anyone who did not fit the rigid image of what Salem believed itself to be. For Black women living in Salem in 1692, danger existed long before the witch trials began. Their lives were already controlled, already watched, already judged. Some were enslaved, owned as property by white families. Others were free in name only, limited by laws, customs, and social boundaries that denied them protection. They lived in a society that did not see them as full members of the community, but as outsiders, whose presence was tolerated only as long as it remained quiet and useful. When strange behaviors began to appear among young girls in Salem, seizures, screams, accusations of invisible attacks, the town demanded answers. Ministers preached that the devil was at work, neighbors whispered, families grew suspicious of one another, and when explanations were needed, the community did what it had always done in moments of crisis. It looked downward, toward those with the least power. Black women were easy targets. They had no influential families to defend them. They had no social standing to shield them. Their words carried little weight in court if they were allowed to speak at all. In the Puritan imagination, blackness itself was associated with sin, darkness, and moral danger. These beliefs were not subtle. They were preached, taught, and accepted as truth. An accusation did not require proof. A dream was enough. A vision was enough. A child's scream was enough. Someone claiming to see a shadow, an animal, or a figure in the night could set everything in motion. Once a name was spoken aloud, it spread quickly, and once fear attached itself to a person, reason disappeared. For Black women, defending oneself was almost impossible. Speaking too much could be seen as defiance. Speaking too little could be seen as guilt. Silence, which had once been a survival strategy, became dangerous. And confession, even a false one, was sometimes the only way to avoid immediate punishment. Survival did not come through truth. It came through submission. Unlike many white women, Black women accused during this period were rarely treated as individuals. They were symbols, proof in the minds of the accusers that evil existed among them. Their humanity was secondary, their suffering was expected, and their pain was rarely questioned. Even when not formally accused, Black women lived under constant surveillance. A wrong look, a misunderstood word, a moment of frustration, any of it could be interpreted as evidence of something sinister. In Salem, difference itself was dangerous, and Black women represented difference in its most visible form. The trials were not only about witchcraft, they were about power, about reinforcing who belonged and who did not, about maintaining a social order built on obedience and fear. And in that system, Black women existed at the very bottom, exposed to accusation without defense and punishment without mercy. When the hysteria eventually collapsed, Salem attempted to restore its sense of order. The courts were shut down, accusations were withdrawn, apologies were offered, but those gestures did not reach everyone. The damage done to Black women was never formally acknowledged. Their suffering remained unrecorded, uncorrected, and unresolved. History remembers Salem as a warning, a lesson about mass hysteria and injustice, but that lesson is incomplete if it ignores those who were most vulnerable from the beginning. The Black women of Salem did not need to be witches to be accused. Their existence alone placed them in danger. And that is the truth history rarely tells. In Salem, you did not need evidence to be condemned. Sometimes being a black woman was enough.